Yeah, so I'm Jay Pennell. I'm the GM of the eNASCAR Heat Pro League. This was my first year in this role this season, so it's been a lot of fun over the last few months. I started this role in February. Was slowly getting into the swing of things when COVID hit, and then we kind of just went all out from basically March until a couple weeks ago. So it's been a lot of fun to get to know you guys and see what this league's been able to do. And over the last couple of days, we've been doing a lot of recaps and looking at the strong numbers we had this season. So really encouraging.
Yeah, I mean, definitely from what I saw from the first season, y'all definitely is. Whenever the motorsports games and you took over the season, it's the production level has stepped tremendously up on the broadcast perspective, and sadly we didn't have any of the live events that y'all planned for us this year, and that's one thing that I think kind of hurt some of the ratings this season. But I mean, still, like I think at Talladega we had like a million views, didn't we?
Yeah, Talladega was definitely one of our high points of the season. Our finale was really strong as well. The wild card event, a lot of those marquee events where I think the viewers and the fans know that they're gonna see action. They definitely tuned in. Jake and you guys all did a great job of promoting leading up to events and creating a lot of excitement and reasons to tune in. So yeah, we had a really strong year. It really does kind of stink that you guys weren't able to do any of the in-person stuff. Obviously, we would have had the draft in person. We would have tried to have had a couple of live events at track, and then obviously the finale was supposed to be at Full Sail University in Orlando. So unfortunately, just like the rest of the world, everything got locked down. But I think the one good thing that we can point to is while the world was locking down, this was an esport and we were able to take advantage of that. I mean, obviously we want to thank everybody who's being impacted by COVID and everything else going on in the world, but with no real sports on TV or no real sports taking place in person, we were able to kind of move the season up and fill that void, which probably put some more eyeballs on us for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree with that. And another thing is, I think you did amazing, and I gave you a bunch of crap for this, Jay. Is the 28 car field like that? I feel like that opened up a lot of eyes of what we really can do on this platform, this game. When you made that decision, I was speaking for myself. I was heated. I gave you so much crap, but it turned out to be the most fun I ever had. What led up to that discussion of putting 28 cars on a track together?
So that was always the ultimate goal going into season two. So the ultimate goal was to always have all 28 guys in the same field racing for the championship. That's why we structured the season the way we did, different than season one. Season one, it was all about teammates. You guys know that. Brandon, you know it better than anybody. You were part of the championship that year. But this year it was all about the individual drivers. So our goal all along was to have all 28 competitors racing in the same field in the championship. We were just planning on doing it in front of a live audience down in an esports arena, and having you guys kind of sitting at rigs, doing this. So, we were able to partner with ASUS between the Pro League and NASCAR, and they were able to provide you guys with all the gaming PCs and monitors, just like you would have had down at the Full Sail University. So we tried our best all season long to mimic what we would have done originally had COVID not hit. Unfortunately, like I said, we couldn't do the in-person stuff, so we just had to adapt and overcome, which everybody kind of had to do. So luckily, we had some good partners step up and help us provide that equipment. You guys have your Fanatec equipment there too as well, and those guys are great partners. So everything that we planned to do in that finale was essentially what we had originally planned. I think the biggest thing there was the 3 races. That didn't really come about until probably I'd say middle way through the segment 3. We really started to look at the finale and say, how are we going to structure this? What's the best way we can crown a champion? And how can we create the most excitement for our event? And we figured putting 28 guys on the same track in the same race, 3 different races in the same night with knockouts was the best and most compelling way to do it. And I think we saw some great racing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and honestly, we can say best man won. I mean, I mean, 90%. Everybody can agree Dan was the fastest car all year. He was. I mean, I got beat. I got beat on this part right here, Jay. This off season. This is where I got beat. They were working. I just came off a championship. I was feeling, like top of the world. I wasn't worried about getting better for the next year, and that's how we got beat. So, best man won, and like you said, what was it? The last lap pass. I mean, it came up to what it was supposed to be. I mean, it was a great race, and I seen it from third place, unfortunately. But when he made the move, I was like, "That's the great racing right there." It was awesome to watch.
Yeah,
from my perspective.
We really couldn't have scripted it any better. I mean, obviously we didn't script it, but we couldn't have planned it any better. It really did come down to the four best guys racing for the top spot throughout that whole last race. I think the guys in the back of the pack were trying to take it easy, but I don't think the guys 5th through 10th were trying to take it easy. I think they were racing their guts out, and it's not exactly the easiest track to get out of the way at is Bristol. So I think we saw the cream rise to the top, which always tends to happen. I think you look at the way the NASCAR championship works. It's typically how it happens. The top championship contenders are the ones who are racing for the win in that last race. And I know Justin Brooks was pretty fired up about the move, and he wasn't very happy about it. But I after watching everybody race this year, I have a hard time believing that Justin wouldn't have pulled the same move on Daniel. So, I thought it was good. Everything looked good. What's that?
He did the same thing to me on the prior restart. That's why I fell so far back. So I know he would have done the same thing because he done it to me. So.
I mean, it was typical Bristol fashion, man, and it was everything we kind of built it to be, and luckily you guys delivered for us.
What really surprised me, racing with Dan and Brooks all season is, I really did not expect Dan to move him at all like that. I mean, I didn't. That absolutely blew my mind. I even told Smoke going into this thing, if you get out in front of, if you have track bar behind you, he's probably going to move you. If you have Dan behind you, he's not going to touch you.
I think it was definitely surprising to see him move, to do that. But I think one of the differences there is it's not like he went out there and wrecked him. He didn't even pull a Dale Earnhardt Terry Labonte thing. He just kind of went up there and rubbed him and kind of used more track than he had and got by. So, no harm, no foul. I think we had, we were put in some difficult situations this year in determining, was something too far over the line. You guys know all about that. But for this was pretty clear. There was nothing wrong with our eyes.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah,
Is there any chance of us in the future ever running 28 cars the whole season?
I think it's something they should look at. I think it's important I think one thing that's important for this league is to maintain that console identity, right? When it comes to NASCAR Esports, there's really two players in this. There's the Coca-Cola iRacing Series, and then there's the eNASCAR Heat Pro League Series. Anybody who wants to be a part of the eNASCAR Heat Pro League Series, all you need is an Xbox, a PS4, and a copy of NASCAR Heat 5. You don't need. Even to qualify, you don't even need the wheels that you guys had. So I think that's important to maintain. I think it's important to continue that. But I think as we look forward, next iterations of the game, next consoles, things like that, as we look into the future, I think it's something that we have to look into. I think the success that we saw there in the championship finale is something that I think we'd like to see more of. So whether that's the championship finale or a playoffs or some of these one-off special events, I think you might see more of that in the future. But I think it is important to maintain that identity of being on the console still.
And here's the thing is, a lot of the direction of the way the console games has gone here in the past few years has been cross-platform as well. We've seen Call of Duty, we've seen games like Fortnite and Rocket League and Call of Duty and games like that go full cross-platform, and I see that being a little farther down the line, but I still think that's a really big possibility because there is a big difference, not only in the way the car feels on Xbox versus PS4, lap times. You go to Xbox and run a 10th off, or you go to PS4 and run a 10th off, and it's and the smart decision there was obviously not to give one group of PS4 or one group of Xbox. It was definitely to go to and to do the PC in that scenario. But I think that's kind of the direction that it kind of needs to go because it did bring a lot of people to bring eyes on it and kind of brought it to that next level. the same thing with the wheels. You know, it looks 10 times more professional to have, you know, if we're watching a 14-man race, to have 14 guys sitting there on a wheel, and you can go cut to a guy and they're on their Fanatec wheel up on the wheel driving it. You know, you don't see somebody, you know, in iRacing or a NASCAR race sitting there on a controller.
Right.
Exactly. Like last year, the finale, I mean, I'm sitting there on a wheel and Diesel is next to me on a controller. I mean, I personally have people that I raced with told me in season 1 that in the championship race, they turned it off because there was somebody on a controller. So I think and I, from day one, thought everybody should be on a wheel. So when y'all made that decision, like, it made me super happy.
Yeah, and I think it's cool because, you know, to your point, we can look in at you guys. It's almost like every one of you guys has an in-car camera. You know, so we can see you sawing on the wheel. We can really see where you're struggling, where you're really doing well. It's like almost like having the driver having the white gloves inside the car, and you can really see his hands working. So I think that's provided some excitement this year. You know, I think it's gotten, you know, while we've missed out on some opportunities to capture content with you guys because of COVID and not being able to capture a lot of these things, you know, we've been able to see you guys week in and week out racing at your houses, your family's involved, you know, those kinds of things, you know, and I think that's something that's been really cool to deliver to the fans, you know, and like you said, the Fanatec equipment is you know, top of the line. So to have everybody racing on the same platform and using the same equipment, it was just kind of a no-brainer. It was a decision that was made before I got into this role, I'll be honest with you, but it's one as somebody who was on the team side last year, it's one I definitely think is a huge step over what took place over season 1.
Yeah, I agree. And everybody's on a level playing field when you put on everybody on wheels. Like there's complaints like at short tracks, controllers are faster. Road courses, controllers are faster. Mile and a half, super speedways, wheels are faster. So that right there. Like, I can go to Martinsville on a wheel and he can go on a controller. He's going to be 2/10 faster than me. But I go to Atlanta on a wheel and he goes on a controller. I'm going to be a 10th faster than him most likely. Unless you're Scout Bond, he's great on a controller. He's stupid fast. But so yeah,
and that's something else I want to point out. You know, you bring up a Scout and you know, but I know we lost Matthew from the league early in the season. But you know, it was a situation where, you know, we were trying to work with him to, you know, while everybody was mandated to use these wheels, you know, we'll work with folks who you know, have disabilities or have any kind of issues. So, you know, while it is something that we require of all players, you know, we still, you know, have all the ADA rules and everything else in there. So, you know, we'll work with anybody who has any issues or any kind of handicaps or disabilities or anything like that. So again, you know, the way I look at this is it's important to maintain the accessibility for anybody to get into this league. You know, if you try hard enough and you practice hard enough, you can go out there and be a part of this league if you qualify well enough. You know, I look at somebody like Corey Rothkeb, who I just found out not long ago really didn't race online until he heard about the pro league. You know, that's crazy to me. Like, you didn't, you know, you guys know you've been racing online for forever, for a long time. I'm sure it's a rough transition from racing AI cars to racing real people who are on the other side of the controller or the wheel. So for me, I just feel like the pro league is a way for anybody to get involved. You don't need to buy all these racetracks and all these race cars and have these rigs and these a high-tech PC. You know, you can just, if you're playing Xbox or PS4, download it while you're sitting there waiting, eating dinner or something, and come back and, you know, you got a chance to go out there and start practicing for the pro league.
Oh yeah, for sure. You know, and that's one thing that kind of helps the pro league and helps it grow, is because everybody's got a shot at it. You know, and that's definitely the big thing. We go back to looking at the wheel side of things. Is, you know, when y'all show us on a wheel, a lot of guys take that into perspective, and they're like, I've had guys come to me and notice the difference between my driving style and, say, Smokes or Brooks or Dan's or Max Boost, and, you know, you'll see me sawing on the wheel, you'll see Dan being just super smooth, you know, never turn the wheel in the middle of the corner, and a lot of guys, you know, they take notice of that, and it gives them several ideas to go forward next season, how to build their setups, how to work going forward, and it's definitely something that, you know, that we, yeah, I mean, ever since I started racing and trying to go for the pro league, I've been trying to help and build the community up as far as I can. Being starting out as a somewhat small voice, trying to build that up, but it's definitely something that we need to get more people involved in, because I mean you have a lot of the same guys going at it from last year to this year, but I mean you're going to have a lot more guys competing and contending.
Yeah, and I think you're a perfect example of that, Matthew. Somebody who comes in and wasn't in the league last year, but made his way through the qualifiers, caught the attention of Stuart Haas, and definitely made a name for yourself in the pro league this year. Scored the win at Eldora, ruffled some feathers along the way, but people definitely knew you were here. So, it's been cool to see that. Like I said, just getting in this role, it was a whole new world. Like I played the NASCAR games ever since they've come out, right? I was always PlayStation until I got an Xbox 360, and then I switched over. But it was I was never a huge gamer, right? I always played video games in my spare time, or when I had a minute here or there. To get to know the gaming world, and especially this community in general, has been really cool. So it's been interesting. I mean, we barely took the checker flag in the season finale. We're already getting tweets that, I'm pumped up for the qualifiers. When are the qualifiers? Let's go. It's my goal to be in the pro league next year. So that's really been cool to see on social.
What was the biggest surprise, like you did not expect coming into this?
Oh man.
Jokes.
The intensity of the competitors, I'd say, probably. I got to know Joey Stone and some of the other folks last year just through my dealings at RCR, because I was with RCR for 4 years on the team side before joining this role. So I got to know Joey and Jordan a little bit. I feel like I've met a few people here and there, but it wasn't really something that was too big on my radar, and I really didn't get to know any of the players or the drivers. So coming into this, just seeing how seriously you guys take this, how much time and effort you guys put into it, how passionate you guys are about it to a fault sometimes, was definitely the biggest surprise. And I followed the season last year, kind of on the peripheral, because I wasn't on the esports team at RCR really. I was more focused on RCR's 50th anniversary and handling Daniel Hemrick's stuff and running our website. So, I dabbled here and there, but to watch these races and to watch practices and things like that, and to see how competitive these races are and how fun they are to watch, that's also been the biggest surprise, which is really cool, because no matter what, you can do everything right, but if the product that you're look good, then you're not going to be successful. And I think what we're putting out there and the way that you guys are competing and the races that you guys are putting on, even if it's practice, because I watch a lot of practice, it looks good, and that's been really fun to watch.
Chase Williamson has a question for you, Jay. He asked, will we see like the World Challenge that we saw last year in the practice qualifiers leading up to the qualifiers?
So we're currently reviewing season 2 right now. So as we've come out of the championship, this is a lot of gathering information, doing a lot of analytical research, a lot of comparing from season 1 to season 2, but then also looking towards season 3. So what we're doing right now is we're kind of recapping where we're at, where we've come. In the next days and weeks, we'll be looking ahead. So I'm sure we'll see more special events. We've got some plans kind of up in the air for season 3, which is really cool. So I think we're going to see a lot of more exciting events, but nothing to announce or to kind of break news tonight. But yeah, I mean, listen, we don't want to take a ton of time off and not be relevant and not be around. But we also have to understand that a key part of this league are the race teams, and are the teams that are out there who are, this week starting the playoffs and things like that. So, as we look to the things that we do, we also have to be cognizant of what's on the NASCAR team schedule and what's on NASCAR's schedule as well. So, it's a long way of saying nothing to announce yet, but we have a lot of things in works.
Well, I have a real quick question for you too. After that, after going into this thing, as you said, being somewhat familiar with it, not being real in depth with it, going from season one to season two, seeing the brotherhood, within the Outlaw guys and the Outsider guys on PS4. What was your thoughts? Seeing that take place on the track week in week out. We'd go to Daytona, Talladega, and see the Outsiders or the Outlaws or stuff like that. What was your thoughts on that?
So that was completely new to me. I had no idea about any of that. So that was something I had to learn pretty quickly as well, because we don't want people collaborating to allow a competitor to win, right? We don't want people working together at the disadvantage of another competitor. So as I kind of learned the Outlaws, Outsiders, all these things, it became very interesting. I'll admit that I had conversations with the teams and NASCAR to see what their thoughts on all of this were, and I offered my thoughts. And I think what we kind of came up with was, rivalries are good, rivalries are fun. I think that when a driver enters this league and he gets drafted into this league and he becomes a team member, first and foremost, he needs to remember that he's driving for that team, right? So I know, and I've said this in our Zoom meetings and things, like our drivers meetings. I don't care whether you're insider, outsider, left sider, outlaw, in-law, whatever. You're a pro league driver, and you're driving and representing that NASCAR team and the partners that are on that car. But then to your point, when you go to the super speedways and things like that, and you see these guys working together, it's just, to me, it's almost like manufacturers working together at a plate track. When I was at RCR, every time we'd go to Daytona, Talladega, there'd be a Chevrolet meeting, and all the drivers and crew chiefs would have to go. They'd meet 3 times a weekend, after one day of practice, after second day of practice, and right before the race. So, I feel like that's something that I kind of equate it to that. But it was definitely interesting to learn. I will admit that I wasn't the biggest fan of it at first, but as I've seen you guys go at each other and the rivalries it has created in the league and in the races, I'm all good with it. I guess I got to figure out more like who's who isn't in the league. Like going into the draft and the preseason, I have a little better idea. But again, all the social, everybody on social is pretty active, so I've been keeping track.
What was it like having to deal with the voice every week?
Okay. So the voice and I go way back. I have known Jake probably for 15 years or so. So, I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. There's an indoor go-kart track here called Victory Lane Karting. And I used to work there and officiate league nights. So here I am, just kind of a different league, officiating, a different kind of league. But Jake used to run in that. He used to work over there. So we've known each other for years. So I knew he was in this role, obviously, last year, and he kind of took on that persona. And, I know today's his birthday, so I called him the mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart. I think it's great to have him. I think he's a huge proponent of the league. I feel like he puts a lot of time and effort into this. He doesn't always go about it the way that I would maybe hope that he does. But I think he gets people fired up, and he gets people talking about the league, and I think that's great. There's times where we have conversations that I say maybe you should throttle it back a little bit, and he kind of pushes me to kind of push the boundaries a little bit. But it's great to have him part of this league, because when you look at what he says and how he does it and what the time that he puts into this, it's clear that he wants this league to succeed, and he wants you guys to succeed, and it's clear that he has your backs no matter what. So that's cool to see that somebody on a team like Stuart Haas can come out and do those things and really support not only their players and their drivers and their team, but the league overall.
Well, as the GM of the league, do you wish there was more vocal teams like Stuart Haas is?
I don't know if I want more vocal teams like Stuart Haas, but I think look, we've got 14 organizations that have very busy day jobs, right? And some of the teams are bigger than others, and some of them have more resources than the others. So I think we've seen, teams like Ganassi get involved with somebody like Elijah Burke, who came on our preseason races and kind of helped with the broadcast, and he's done some things here and there. He's a great proponent on social media. You look at Sam Jones over at Germain. That's a team that's super, super small. And, if it has to get done, ultimately, if it has anything to do with PR, marketing, social, digital, esports, anything, it falls under Sam. So to see that team take the time that they do and the effort that they put into it is really encouraging. So, you're always going to have teams that have less resources and less people to kind of put on this on a Wednesday night, and that makes sense. I think they're the same teams that are struggling to do those kinds of things on the cup side too. So, but they're important parts of the league. They're it's nice to have them as a part of the league. We want them as a part of the league, and I don't judge a team based off of their social presence, right? I think there's other ways to contribute and other things behind the scenes that a lot of people don't really necessarily see that they're doing to support, which is also important.
Now I have a question for you, Jake. So, this year, season 2, we ran multiple series. We ran them trucks, Xfinity Cup. Do you ever see in a 3 different series altogether? Like, you got your pro guys, like your top guys in a Cup series, and your Xfinity series, and guys that are trying to, work their way up that barely missed it in the truck series. Could you ever see that happening?
I mean, I wouldn't say never. I don't think it's in the works right now. I think what we need to focus on is improving the pro league as we have it season over season. Season 1, I don't think anybody really knew what to expect out of this league. Whether it was NASCAR, the teams, the folks at 704 Games, or the folks at Motorsport Games later on. I don't think anybody really knew what to expect out of this. They came out of it. They saw what the results were. Went into season 2. We took what we did, we built on it, and we exceeded, I think, a lot of expectations. So I think it's just kind of continuing that trend as of right now. We've got NASCAR Heat 5 out now. So I think it's kind of utilizing that platform and kind of gearing towards that as we look towards the future iterations of the game. I think anything's kind of on the table, right? So I wouldn't say that it's not going to happen, but I'm also not going to say it's going to happen. I think it's a definite possibility. I think you look at the variety of that are out there already in the community, and the variety of talent levels that are in those leagues. There's obviously a desire to have some of this stuff, right? So whether that's NASCAR Heat just offering their support for something like that, or if the pro league actually brings something under its wing. Ultimately, that's not my decision. Like I said, this is I think the important thing to remember about this league is it's a partnership between NASCAR, the Race Team Alliance, and us at Motorsport Games. So anything we decide has to be kind of agreed upon amongst all of us. So if it makes sense for the teams, and if it makes sense for NASCAR, and it makes sense for Motorsport Games, and the direction that we see the league moving in, then it's something that we would look at. But I think all those things have to line up.
Yeah, what you said there, the Race Team Alliance, and what I've seen really kind of separates the pro league from the iRacing side of things. It's full 14 teams all in NASCAR. Would y'all ever look into maybe going to allowing some of these driver teams, like you see Denny Hamlin Esports, Parker Klickerman Burton Esports, joining the pro league?
Yeah, I think it's something like I said before. Everything's kind of on the table now, right?
Yeah.
We've got through season 2 where we were like, let's head down on this. Let's focus on this. Let's get it done. We got it done. Now we've got a plan, and so no idea is a bad idea, right? I think ultimately that comes down to do the race teams want other people in this league? Does the RTA want additional driver teams in here? I know Richmond Raceway has a team in the iRacing series. I know Team Dillon management, like you said, Denny Hamlin, all those guys as well. So, but then as we look beyond the NASCAR world, you've got there's a ton of esports teams out there as well. When you look at like the FaZe clans and all these other groups that my friends at Motorsport Games know a lot more about than I do. I think there's potential for growth into the non-NASCAR, non-motorsports world of esports as well. So I think there's a lot of possibilities there. Again, nothing definitive just yet, but I think it's something that you have to look into, right? I mean, but the way that the league was originally structured, it was just the RTA and JR Motorsports. JR Motorsports is one team that's not in the RTA that is part of the league. So, I mean, there is a precedent there, with JR Motorsports. So I guess there is the kind of opportunity for growth. But we'll just have to kind of see what the rest of the consensus is amongst the group.
Going forward as we head into this off season, what's one bit of advice you would give to somebody trying to make it in this year?
From what I've learned, you got to practice a lot. Work on building your setups, practice a lot, race a lot online with a lot of you guys. Find out who the pro league guys are, and try and run with them. And from the other side of the coin, you can be the best driver in the world. You can be the best guy on NASCAR Heat 5. But if you've got a terrible social media presence, you've got questionable things in your background, those kinds of things, make sure you get them all cleaned up. Go through your social accounts. And if it's something that you wouldn't want a future employer to see, or one of your heroes to see, or a potential sponsor or partner to see, then I would probably take it down or not post it. So those are kind of my biggest advice. My biggest advice for folks who are looking at getting in the pro league is to get on the game and play as often as you can, learn as much as you can about your fellow competitors, work on your setups, and just check all of your social accounts, and just kind of realize that if you get brought into this league, it's more than just racing, your Xbox or PS4 once a week. It's representing a NASCAR team. It's representing, in some cases, a Fortune 500 company. And so, I think you're under the same microscope that a lot of the Cup drivers are, because you're representing the same brands and the same team members every time you go out there. So that's probably my biggest advice, is to practice, work on your setups, and make sure you're not doing anything dumb.
And they might just see us race one time a week, but we are on running races every day of the week. So say we have Bristol coming up. I probably ran like over 1,000 laps easy within just that 1 week for that one track. And you're running, say, for example, the Outlaw guys. Me, all the other Outlaw guys, we're running multiple lobbies of races back to back to back to back to try to really dissect that last little half a tenth out of it, of what it's doing at the end of the run versus the beginning of the run. So I think the biggest thing is definitely, if you want to come in here and be competitive, you got to put in the work, to get your cars where they need to be. That's what got me since season one. Season one, I didn't have no social media. I literally created my Twitter like the month before the qualifiers started, literally. But I was able to get out there and do what I had to do in the qualifiers. But it's better to have no social media than to have bad social media. So
100%. 100%. And I've worked with a large variety of drivers, right? And I've run a lot of social accounts, from NASCAR on Speed and the Speed channel to Fox, NASCAR on Fox, to RCR, to doing work with brands. But I also worked with Paul Menard, who's one of the only drivers in the Cup Series, at the time, who was not on social media. So it was definitely a balance. Like you said, it's better to have no social media than to have a bad one. Just keep in mind, anything you put on the internet can come back and bite you. Somebody's can screenshot it, all that good stuff. So, just make sure that you're checking all your closets for all those skeletons.
Oh yeah, I have one more question for you, and hopefully Jake don't kill me for asking this. But I'm always have been a huge Austin Dillon fan. What was it like? I've seen the pictures on Twitter when you got to go to victory lane with him in the Daytona 500.
Man, that whole day was just surreal because, at the time, that's a flag I got hanging up there is from the Daytona 500 in 2018. Ever since I can remember, I've always wanted to be in racing, work in NASCAR, and everybody wants to win the Daytona 500, right? So at that time, I was working primarily with Daniel Hemrick on the Xfinity side, and really just handling content for RCR on the cup, on cup days. So I stayed over to just kind of handle a lot of social media and some content. So that was the 20th anniversary of Dale Earnhardt winning the Daytona 500. And so myself, Kyle Sislowitz, who helps run the RCR Esports program, and somebody else at RCR who's no longer there, we had worked on this video for about a month and a half, interviewing Richard and Austin and Chocolate and Danny Lawrence and all these guys, and we could not get that thing to post at all. It was supposed to go the day of the 500, and with about 50 laps to go, we finally got it rendered out and finally got it posted to everything that we needed. And so the three of us kind of sat there in the media center, and this was something that was very much something you don't do during a race at a racetrack, especially working for RCR. But we had already seen a couple of big wrecks. We were still in it, and we sat there and said, okay, what are we going to do if we win? And so we kind of came up with a plan that, Kyle was going to handle Twitter, I was going to handle Instagram, Patrick would handle the website and kind of handle Richard and things like that. And just to see that 3-car cross the finish line, you realize, holy moly, this just happened. It was surreal. And I was right there when Austin pulled the car into victory lane and climbed out, and it was just a dream come true. So it was so cool to see. The ring is something that I've got that I'll cherish forever. I mean, it's got my last name on it with the 3 on it, Daytona 500 champions, and to go to Daytona USA, or the international, or the museum that's there that used to be Daytona USA, and to induct that car that next morning was incredible. To bring that car home to RCR and to help put that in the museum and to kind of help unveil that display, all of that was really, really special, and things that I'll never forget. And I've got some cool stories that I'm not going to share publicly about getting that car in and out of the museum. That has been a lot of fun. So it was an incredible experience. Austin's a great guy. We've had our different he delivered a Daytona 500 championship for me, and it's something I'll never forget.
Yeah, I remember me, my brother, me, and my mom was sitting here that night, and I cried like a little girl. I'm not gonna lie, because I've always idolized Dale Earnhardt. I've got like 2 or 3 life-size posters of Dale Earnhardt in my room, and that was just. And I've been an Austin Dillon fan ever since my brother and my dad went down to Daytona in '09, and they got to see Austin and Ty run Speed Weeks, Evolution, East Bay and stuff, and got his autograph, and that was definitely something cool, and definitely something. It's kind of I've always been a fan of is anybody that runs dirt. Anybody that grows up running dirt.
Yeah.
Them Dillon boys are pretty good on dirt.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was a cool experience. Getting to go to Victory Lane. I went to Victory Lane a bunch last year with Tyler Reddick on the Xfinity side, and obviously was able to be there when he won the championship as well. So definitely a lot of really cool experiences during my time at RCR, which is pretty cool. And now we're just building more new experiences with you guys, so that's cool. Like I said, I hate we didn't get to go to the racetrack this year or do any of the cool events that we had planned, because it would have been cool to kind of put those two worlds together, right? I mean, I spent the last 4 years almost every weekend in that Cup garage or the Xfinity garage, or bouncing back and forth between both. So to take you guys in there and kind of introduce you to folks and give you the behind the scenes look would have been a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of Daytona 500s, I never got to see my favorite driver win. So he
Yeah,
came
but you got
close
to
a few
talk to him.
times. Yeah, that was probably better than seeing him ever win a 500. That was awesome.
I
I
got a
mean,
question. Yeah, tell me about that. How cool was that?
that's another thing is NASCAR Heat made that possible. Playing that, that would have never happened if I would not have got a copy of NASCAR Heat. Like that was when he came. I did not expect that. Jake told me that Mike was coming on. He said, "I'm about to get Mike in here. He wants to ask you a few questions." So I'm sitting there. I'm half asleep. Like I stayed up real late last night practicing for the races coming up that day. Tony entered. I went speechless, man. Like I mean, I literally couldn't talk probably for 3 or 4 minutes. I was just quiet. But he was. I mean, he's just like we are. He was talking about the Grand Canyons, all kinds of different stuff that obviously they clipped out. But I mean, never like it still doesn't feel real, I guess you could say. Tony Stewart talked to me like we're talking now.
Yeah,
So
that's pretty cool. That's cool to see. And then for you, Matthew, to watch you get that win at Eldora, and how special that was for you and your family. It's cool to see what the Pro League has been able to do for you guys, and it's just cool to be a part of that.
yeah, and like to get to go to their shop, Jake walked me into Tony Stewart's office, Greg Zipadelli, all their offices while I was there. Got to see, Kurt Busch's Daytona 500 winning car. So all that stuff was, it's been incredible.
Well, hopefully we can get you guys back traveling. Hopefully some of this stuff can get cleared up before next season, and we can go back to doing a lot of that cool stuff, and getting you to the racetrack, getting you the teams to bring you in and take you to the shop. I think there's a lot that we can do and could do. Just unfortunately, just the situations that we're all facing today and this year is kind of threw a curveball for sure.
Oh yeah, there's definitely nothing like it. I actually got to go to the Kentucky Victory Lane in 2013. We was trying to get engines and stuff, and somehow got tickets. My dad was working for Turtle Man. He had a dirt late model team in 2013. We was able to go to Victory Lane. There's nothing like it. It's just an amazing experience to get to go down there and experience all that.
Oh yeah. So I had been the first time I went to Victory Lane was let's see, that was 2017 at Bristol. Austin won the Xfinity race, the night race, and Richard Childress poured a beer all over my head while we were taking a picture. So it doesn't get much better than that. But every time I had been to Victory Lane prior to that, or after that, it was with the driver that somebody else had been working with. I was just at RCR, and it was somebody else. I wasn't their direct PR person. But last year when Tyler Reddick won the race at Talladega, I had been his PR person all throughout the day and the weekend. So that was really cool to spend the entire race, because what my role was on the race team was not only setting his schedule and making sure he's at an interview or whatever he needs to do, but throughout that race, you're also providing updates on Twitter. You're providing race updates to TV and to radio so they can talk about you. And to just have that level of involvement from the very start of the race to the end of the race, and to go celebrate in Victory Lane, that was super cool. We didn't have a huge celebration in Victory Lane because he had to get out and immediately go qualify Brendan Gaughan's Cup car, but that was such a cool experience for sure.
The only time I got to go to Victory Lane, which again was because of NASCAR Heat, when we the first ever esports event for Miami, the 10K race. Anyways, we got to, stay, hang out, go to get in all the practices for every series for free, qualifying the races. Well, when Joey Logano won the championship that year, I believe it was 18, if I'm not mistaken, we got to go down there in Victory Lane, go on the dang track while he's doing his burnouts, all that stuff. So that's the only time I've ever been. But it was awesome, the whole experience. I mean, there's nothing, being this close to a NASCAR driver in general is cool as crap. So to see all the extra stuff, it's pretty special.
Yeah, and like I said, it's just cool that a video game and a series around that video game is really what allows you to do that, which is cool to see.
That's what I'm saying. So if you want to have a chance to drive with your favorite team, just do all this cool stuff, NASCAR Heat is the way to go. I mean, there's no other better way and easier way, as long as you got somewhat a level head on your shoulder, there's no better way to do it than NASCAR heat. I mean, I would not, if somebody asked me what would you advise to make it on a NASCAR team through esports, NASCAR heat hands down. Plain and simple.
Yeah, for sure. Because I mean, like you said, if you put enough time and effort into it, you can make an impact. You don't, like I was saying before, you don't have to have a high powered PC. You know, you don't have to go out there and buy all these tracks and buy all these cars and try and work your way up all these licenses and all this other stuff. You know, one payment for that game. You know, if you want to get the DLCs, go ahead, but you don't have to. And if you make it in, guess what? You guys are in the game. So it's like, it's not, I think that's something that's really cool too. Not only are you guys competing for money and the title and racing for a team, you are actually in NASCAR Heat 5, which I think is really cool too. I mean, I think when you look back at these games and where we were a couple of years ago, I don't think anybody would have imagined esports drivers being actually in some of these video games. So to see that, I think that's really cool. And if I was somebody who was just kind of on the outside looking in, this is something where I'd say, oh yeah, let's go. I want my picture in that video game.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it a few years ago, it was just bragging rights. You get in a lobby, try to put up the fastest lap time, that's all it was. And then that first esports event, it just took off from there. It just changed everything. Now, people trying not to have the bragging rights. They're trying to be a champion of the NASCAR Heat Pro League. Once you get that championship, nobody can ever really talk crap about you then, So, I don't know. It just opens up so many more doors than I ever dreamed of in a million years. So I'm thankful for that alone. Stuart Haas, all the things they've done for me, Bulldog, my former teammate. You got to look at him too because he was there with me season 1 championship. So they've just done so much. All the teams have, and it's been an awesome ride. I hope that lasts a long time.
Oh yeah, it's been an absolute dream come true. Growing up in a racing family, my grandfather and my dad both raced. Not having the money to race, in real life, this really gave me the opportunity to, and I think it's given so many other people the opportunity to fulfill their dream and go out there and go race. It's into bringing it into a family, like is you said before, I got real emotional at Eldora, and it's when my dad raced, when my grandpa races, they was 3-4 generations of Selby's at the racetrack every week. And this entire season, I've had my brother sitting right here, my mom out there in the car because she can't help but not get tore up and scream and yell and everything else during the race. But it's been a dream to just enjoy that, to do it with family, and to just to be racing. Whether it's on a video game or real life or whatever, it's still racing.
Yeah, for sure. And it's been cool to kind of experience that from this side. Like I said, just to watch it kind of on the peripheral last year, and to really dive into it and really know everything there is to know about the ins and outs of this league. It's been really cool to see it grow and see you guys grow over the year. I got a question for you guys. I'm gonna turn the tables here a little bit.
Okay.
What's it been like wearing the black hat all season long?
I'm used to it, Jay. I mean, honestly, it's just another day for me at the office, And like Tony Stewart said in that interview, because he's, where he's like, "Have you made anybody mad this year?" And Jake made his comment, and Tony said that's just how it is at Stuart Haas. I mean, that's sure. Honestly, if you're in my way, I'm gonna move you. Just like I'm not gonna wreck you though, but. Obviously, every week you go into races, you're getting told from the last week, oh, you're not winning the next race. I promise you that. It's part of how we race. So I love it, honestly. Like getting them mad, that tells me I know I'm in their heads.
That's right.
So that's how I look at it.
Right here before I answer this question, I got to give a shout out to Blake Brewer, who just commented on the stream. Congratulations to you, man. He's currently sitting in the hospital waiting for his baby girl to be born, sitting here watching our podcast. So congratulations to you, man.
Yeah, man. Congratulations. There's nothing like it. I got a 12-year-old who's over there, and it feels like just yesterday I was in the hospital watching her be born. Congratulations, man.
That's Brewster, ain't it?
Don't know. I think it might be.
It might be. Anyways, also thanks to Color Motorsports, that's Coca, man. That's another driver that you're gonna have to watch out for going into season 4. He's fast.
Yep,
He
remember him from
actually
preseasons.
he got me in the ballpark at Eldora. I was way off, and then him and AJ, they work really good together. Cola, offered me some advice. He got me going, so I still appreciate you that. I don't think I ever said thank you for that. And obviously, Chase, appreciate you watching too, brother.
Oh yeah, but I mean, it's when I first started league racing and started getting real big into it, I've kind of always wore the black hat. For my first league race that I ever ran on Smoke's team in Midnight, there was a phrase that got brought up, and it kind of stuck. I got bulldogged,
I like
and
it.
yeah, it's kind of been the thing ever since. Is I I like giving that bumper every now and then. It's not something I shy away from. I think everybody's kind of seen that this season.
I'll tell you this: I got yelled at a couple times for articles that I wrote about Danica Patrick, but I never got yelled at by Daniel Canoes until this year.
Really?
But I think it goes to show how invested Stuart Haas is into this league. I mean, here's a guy who's worked with some of the best in the business as an actual crew chief, who is on a meeting about the pro league, yelling at me because I made, in his opinion, wrong decisions. So I think that's really cool to see. At the end we agreed on what we need to do moving forward, but I just thought that as that was going on, I thought it was pretty funny and pretty ironic. I mean, this guy's crew chief Danica Patrick and put up with a bunch of stuff, and here he is.
There's been a lot of times I've been way off at racetracks, like especially when NASCAR Heat 4 first came out. He saved me, Daniel. NASCAR Heat 4 versus Heat 3 was Heat 3. You made that thing as loose as you could go, and you hold it wide open.
Yeah.
Well, Heat 4 came out, and I put in the Heat 3 setup. We were at Vegas, first race of Heat 4 for the playoffs. Well, I put a Heat 3 in. My right front blew in 2 laps, Jay. I'm not even kidding. That's how big of a difference it was. And I worked, and Parker was blowing everybody's doors off. And I messaged Daniel. I'm like, what do I do, man? And he told me, I sent him a picture of exactly what I had done to it. And he told me 3 things to try. And I went from a 9th to 11th place car to running the fastest laps from the beginning of the run to the end of the run. Like, people want to talk crap, about sim racing in general. Well, for what he told me, he said that he would do this on a real car and it worked in here. What do you want to say about that? You know? So and not only him, there's numerous of guys. Kevin Harvick, shock specialist. I talk to him every week before the race. He's like, how you feeling about going into this race? I was telling him, I'm okay or I'm doing good. If I say I'm okay, he'll be like, what's wrong with it? I'll send him a picture of it. He'll tell me what to try, and it always works. So Stuart Haas is very invested, not just from the social media side or communicating with y'all, but their team guys are working with me, and I'm sure they're working with Bulldog too. So Stuart Haas is great. They're the best team out there. A lot of teams say that, but they truly are. They're invested in every dynamic of the sport, So
yeah, I mean, one of the cooler relationships me and you built this year, Smoke, is we've kind of leaned on with the iRacing with Stuart Haas starting the iRacing this year, is leaning on Dillon Duvall. He's helped us out a lot. I'll come to him, and he's helped us out a lot too.
Well, it's cool to see that you guys work together like that within that organization. I definitely knew that the depth was there for SHR, and you see how involved these guys are, and I learned firsthand how involved they are for sure. So it's been fun to learn, and like I said, I've had similar conversations with folks at other teams. I'm not going to name names, but so it's been really fun to see, and I know a lot of folks from engineering and competition get involved as well. So it's anytime there's a car on a racetrack, whether it's real life or virtual, these teams are going to put everything they can to beat their competition. And
Stuart Haas told me when they drafted me, they said they don't care what it is. If it's an RC race, they're going to try to win that thing. So you're definitely right about that.
I think when Stuart was on that scooter back when he broke his leg, he had that thing all souped up, ready to race anybody he could.
Yeah, that was definitely the first thing on the first phone call that I talked to Jake, because he said, "You're here to win, right?" I mean, we're here to win. We're not going to expect anything less. And that's what's so cool about Stuart Haas is we're not out there to run second. Never have been, never will be, and that's been mine and his mentality from day one. Dating back league races 2-3 years ago. We ain't out there to run second. We ain't out there to have a good day. We're out there to win.
Yeah.
That's the way it should be. That's what makes the league great.
Yeah. I agree 100%. Anything else, Bulldog, you got for him?
No. We've ran about an hour long, boys. I appreciate you coming on, Jay. Tell them where they can find you at.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter, just at JW JaywPennell. Just make sure you're following all the NASCAR Heat social accounts as well. Like we said, right now it's kind of in the recapping and planning stages, but we'll have the qualifiers open it up here probably not too terribly long. So go get your copy of NASCAR Heat 5 if you don't have it already. Make sure you're practicing racing these guys in the public lobbies or just practicing on your own, testing, all that good stuff. So best of luck to anybody who's hoping to make the qualifiers in the preseason. Feel free to hit me up on Twitter and ask me anything you need, whether it's just advice or questions or whatever it is. Just drop by and drop me a line.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on too, Jay. You did a great job this season. I gave you a lot of crap. I disagree with a lot of things you did, but it ended up being a great decision. So keep doing what you're doing. You're doing a great job. And like I said, appreciate you coming on, buddy.
Cool. I appreciate it. Thanks, guys. And you know what? You really didn't give me that much of a hard time. There were others that gave me a harder time.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, we gave you a harder time, just maybe not to your face. There was many of hours cussing you out there.
Yeah, now I know it. I think, yeah, no, I mean, that comes with any role like this. You can't do everything to make everybody always happy, but you've got to make the decisions that need to be made. And, a lot of times those aren't the easy ones or the popular ones. So, there's always a reason behind the decision. And there's always a well thought out process that a lot of people have kind of offered their opinions and thoughts on. So I know a lot of times the news comes directly from me, and it makes it seem like I'm the one making a lot of these decisions, but it's definitely a team effort, and I'm the one who just needs to deliver all that news to you guys.
Well, man, sure. You have absolutely done a fantastic job, stepping in as late as you did. I know you didn't get in there till like right before the preseason, and you've done an absolute amazing job. The rookies coming in there this year, you're all we've known. You know what I'm saying? You're the one who we've dealt with from day one. They've had the experience of the guys last year, and you've done, in my view, an absolute fantastic job this season.
Well, cool. I appreciate it, you guys. And like I said, it's been fun, and looking forward to some more.
Oh, yeah.
Sir.
Thanks, man.
All right, cool, guys. Y'all have a good night.
Have a good one, Jerry.
All right, we'll see y'all.
See you, buddy.
Smoke, you want to tell them where they can find you at real quick before we end the stream?
SmokeFan14B20. I'm pretty sure it is. It might be SmokeFan B2014 with an underscore between the 14 and the B20. Also, make sure to go give Stuart Haas Esports some love on Twitter. Stuart Haas Racing. That's pretty much it tonight. I appreciate everybody for watching. Again, Brewster, congratulations on what you got going on, but can't wait to race with you again. Anyways, all y'all watching, so.
Yeah,
Bulldog.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Big time for tuning in, all y'all guys. Congratulations, Brewster. Y'all can find me at Bulldog46X on Twitter. Just about anything else, too. Make sure you give Bruzy a follow, Stuart Haas Esports a follow, just like he said. Haas Automation a follow, and NASCAR Heat and Hunt Brothers Racing